Since our stay in Split has ended, we've gone to the port and boarded a Yadrolinia ferry. From here, we'll cross the Adriatic Sea to arrive at a little town of Supetar on the island of Brač. The ferry ride from Split to Brač takes about 45 minutes. Today the weather is beautiful, the water is calm, it's going to be a very nice crossing. The island of Brač has regular bus service between all the major towns on the island. So after getting off the ferry, we're getting on this bus and we'll be heading over to the town of Bol. We're now approaching Bol. Bol is a town located on the south side of Brač, with a population of about 2,000 people. It is visited by more tourists than anywhere else on the island. As you can see, the water here is just beautiful. On the west edge of Bol, there is a popular promenade lined with spectacular pine trees that lead from town to the very popular beach known as Zlatni Rat, or Golden Cape in English. Zlatni Rat is a promontory composed mostly of pebble rock that visibly shifts with the tidal movements, a unique sight. The sea at Zlatni Rat, and indeed the entire area, is quite crystalline due to the strong current of the strait it is situated in. On a still day, the stones of the sea floor that are 30 feet down look only an arm's length away. The beach at Zlatni Rat is probably the most famous beach on the Adriatic Sea. Tourists who come here have an opportunity to sunbathe, swim, do various water sports, and parasail. Looking to the north from Bol, you can see a very high mountain area called Vita Vigora. Vita Vigora is the tallest mountain on any of the Dalmatian islands. We're here in Pučišća, in every way the embodiment of the Mediterranean as it once was. This little town is closed in by an amphitheater of sorts by white stone houses that surround the harbor. The sea here is crystal clear and warmed nicely by the sun during the summer months. As such, it provides a great experience for swimmers. Due to the protective nature of the harbor, it is the resting place and safe haven for many boats that dock here. In my opinion, Pučišća is one of Brač Island's best kept secrets. This is a typical morning about 7 o'clock in Pučišća. You can see that some of the ships are still here from the night before. They'll be cruising out about 9 o'clock going to another island. The water is oftentimes very calm like this. Just a beautiful little town. Klesarska Škola, or stonemason school, founded in Pučišća in 1909, is a very unique vocational high school found nowhere else in Europe. Every year, 2 classes of 25 students enter the school and attend an accredited 3- or 4-year educational program leading to degrees in stonemasonry. Professional and theoretical classes are taught by 22 teachers, including 2 engineers of architecture, an engineer of machinery, and a sculptor. The main emphasis of the school is to teach students how to work with the stone by hand. Use of machinery is also taught later in the curriculum. After our visit to the stonemason school, we learned that the local Pučišća water polo team was hosting a match with a visiting team from Zagreb. What a spectacular place to play a water polo game.
Bravo Zavačić, bravo Medo!
Zgoditak za ekipu Pučišća, postigao igrač brojem 10.
After our visit to Pučišća, we decided to visit Vita Vagora. I am standing at the highest of all the Dalmatian islands at a place called Vita Vagora on the southern part of the island of Brač. The elevation here is about 2,567 feet above sea level. The islands that surround Brač are beautiful. The next island over is the island of Var, and then in the distance you can see the island of Korčula. Down below is the famous Golden Cape, or Zlatni Rat, which is a very popular beach down at in the town of Bol. After visiting Vita Vagora, it was time for us to pack up our things, head to Bol, and take a ferry to the island of Var. It's been about an hour, and I see that we're starting to approach Var. Var is the longest island in the Adriatic, about 40 miles. The population on Var is about 11,000 people. Var Island is one of the sunniest of all the Croatian islands, and it's certainly one of Croatia's most visited islands. The island is extraordinarily green and lush. It's filled with lavender, heather, and pines, and the coastline is heavily indented with an abundance of rocky coves. There's a fertile plain where they produce grapes, olives, figs, carob, lemons, and oranges. On the slopes of the hills, on innumerable terraced plots, lavender is grown, and it's used in the production of oil for the perfume industry. Also in quantity are rosemary and aromatic plants which give Var honey its flavor. Once the entire island was wooded, but now there's only small forests and groves of fir and holm oak, with uncultivated land left to sprout shrubs and mačja. Here we are overlooking the town of Var. Var town is part of the split Dalmatia County. The municipality has a population of 4,500, while the city itself has about 4,000 inhabitants, making it the largest settlement on the island of Var. It is situated on a bay in the south coast of the island, opposite from the other nearby towns of Starigrad and Jelsa. The city of Var has a long and distinguished history as center for trade and culture in the Adriatic. An independent commune within the Venetian Empire during the 13th through the 18th centuries, it was an important naval base with a strong fortress above, encircling town walls, and protected port. The central point of Var town is the Plaka, or the main square, which is the largest square in Dalmatia. Originally part of the bay, the land was filled in and fully paved in 1780. In the summer, the square is extremely busy, with all the cafes and restaurants overflowing with people. But there's a much more tranquil feel after the season as the locals relax over coffee. The most impressive building in Var is the Cathedral of St. Stephen, standing on the eastern side of the town square, at the far end of the Plaka, where two parts of the town meet. It was built on the site of an early 6th century Christian church and a later Benedictine convent of St. Mary. The shrine of today's cathedral is the remains of a Gothic church from the 14th century. Its 15th century pulpit, the stone multi-level painting of St. Luke and the flogging of Christ, as well as the late Gothic crucifix, have all been preserved. St. Stephen's has a nice 17th century bell tower and is a harmonious synthesis of the Romanesque, Manneristic, and early Baroque styles so typical of the Dalmatian architecture of the 15th and 16th centuries. The inside has quite a few late Renaissance paintings and a nice wooden 16th century choir area. Here is the Benedictine convent and the Church of St. Anthony the Abbot. This was founded in 1664, and it's located in the same house where Hannibal Lucic, a great 16th century Var poet, was born. The convent has preserved a kitchen from Lucic's time, as well as a valuable collection of artworks which is now a museum. The Benedictine convent in Var is especially renowned for its craftsmanship of unique and incredibly detailed lace from the agave fibers. The agave lace is made only by nuns here, and tradition is passed from generation to generation. Legend has it that the skill of making lace from agave arrived from the Canary Islands and has been preserved in Var since the 19th century. From the old town, a path zigzags its way up an agave and cacti-covered hillside to the citadel or fortress. The large 16th century fortress that stands above Var town once was a medieval castle. The current structure was built by the Venetians with the help of Spanish engineers. The walk up the fortress is a nice but challenging hike, which is best done in the morning to avoid the heat. Once inside the fort, it's interesting to walk around, and they also have a souvenir shop and a cafe. But the real attraction is a spectacular panoramic view from the citadel's ramparts, the view of the terracotta roofs of our town below, the marina, and the beautiful islands offshore. Var has been known as the island of lavender for centuries. This fragrant herb, with its extraordinary medicinal purposes, grows in lush fields in some of the island's most picturesque places. 50 years ago, Var accounted for about 8% of the world's total lavender oil production, but now it's very limited as agricultural land has become more valuable as real estate development. But as you can see, the magic lavender still exists on Var. We had a great time on the island of Var. Now we're going to take a ferry over to the island of Cortula. After a few hours on the ferry, we made it to the island of Cortula. We decided to spend our time in Cortula town. Cortula town is the historic fortified town on the protected east coast of the island of Cortula. The old city is surrounded by walls, and the streets are arranged in a herringbone pattern, allowing free circulation of air but protecting against strong winds. The town's historic sites include the Central Gothic and Renaissance Cathedral of St. Mark, the Town Museum, and the Marco Polo Museum. The Cathedral of St. Mark is arguably one of the most important buildings in Cortula's Old Town. It's built in Gothic Renaissance style, completed in the 15th century at a place of another church from the 13th century. The cathedral is built by local masters and craftsmen of stone masonry, very well known in Renaissance and Baroque Dubrovnik and Venice. Stonemason Marco Andreac completed the cathedral's tower and cupola in 1481, as well as the elegant ciborium above the main altar. The cathedral's facade is decorated with a truly beautiful flouted rose and various reliefs and statues, while the main door portal is framed by statues of Adam and Eve and figures of lions. Inside the cathedral there are 2 Tintorino paintings. Its interior has a wonderful evocative ambiance. The nave soars 30 meters in height and is lined with a twin colonnade of exposed limestone pillars. There are 3 altarpiece paintings by Tintorino. Other noteworthy works include a bronze statue of St. Blaise near the altar on the northern aisle, and a painting by the Venetian artist Jacopo Bassano in the apse of the southern aisle. It's said that Marco Polo was born in Cortula in 1254, and though a lot of places claim to be his birthplace, there's reasonable evidence that this is true. This small, claustrophobic museum is located in the skinny tower of the house that's supposed to have been his. Inside you'll find maps and charts related to Polo's voyages and portraits of busts of the great adventurer. The town of Cortula is known for the Moreshka, a traditional sword dance and drama that was common through the Mediterranean in the 12th and 13th century, reaching Cortula in the 16th century from Italy and Dubrovnik. The dance originated in Spain and is associated with the conflict between the Moors and the Christians. In Dalmatia, its popularity was almost certainly linked with the struggles between Ottoman Empire, above all with the victory over a battle of Lepanto, the first major Ottoman defeat by the Christian powers, which ended the myth of Ottoman naval invincibility. Through the century, Mareshka vanished from the Mediterranean and nowadays is only performed on Korčula. Briefly, the dance follows the story of a conflict between the Red King and the Black King, and Beulah, the Red King's fiancée, who is captured by the Black Army. Following the dialogue between kings, the romantic and ritualized sword dance starts and is performed in 7 circles representing 7 different dances with swords. Finally, the Black King is conquered and Beulah happily returns to the arms of her beloved Red King. Tour of the 3 islands of Brač, Hvar, and Korčula have ended. We hope that what you've learned about these islands will encourage you to visit them one day.